ones.
She said, what is
You know I love you.
I'm gonna go virtual from now on. I ain't coming back.
I learned that from Mark.
Is that who you learning from?
Yeah. I don't know if I'm gonna be a mentor for, but okay, I'll take it.
You don't want to take that one.
No, not with that.
You don't want that one.
You know, that'll do so much for me. I take from the chip, y'all.
Wait. We're back up. Hand Corey that. All right, you all, we are back. We are back rolling, rocking and rolling and rocking. So this is part 2 for Date Affirm the Real. Again, our topic is identifying mental health issues within ourselves, our partners, potential partners, what that looks like. Mental health is so important, and we really, really want to have an open space, a safe space to have those discussions. And so I'm going to direct a question to not just Shamika, but to the room, and then Shamika can offer her insight and wisdom as it relates to this. So my question to the room is, how often are you checking in with yourself? And what does that look like?
Define what it means to check in.
So what exactly do you mean by checking in? Give me a definition, please.
So I check in with myself often, times like maybe 2 or 3 times a day. And I'm like, what prompts me to do it a lot of times is certain emotions that come up. So if I feel angry about something, I'm checking in, like, why do I feel angry right now? If I'm feeling overwhelmed, I'm checking in with myself. Why am I feeling overwhelmed? If I feel a lot of anxiety, I'm checking in with myself. Where's this anxiety coming from? And so how often are you doing that? Or are you doing it at all? Because I think check-ins help us in terms of understanding where we are and what we may need to be doing and what the focus may need to be.
So as for me, I'll take the first leg. Only time I ever check in is with like if I just feel overwhelmed. And other than that, that's about the only time I feel I need to check in with myself. You know, I don't know if that's right or wrong. Then when I do check in, one thing I have to stop and try to do is like, okay, not blame nobody else for this feeling. And that's the hardest part. The hardest part to me when I do check in, is not to put the blame on somebody else. Because to me, it's easier I can put the blame. I kind of look at it this way. You ever let somebody borrow your car or something, and it breaks down, and they bring it back, and they get back saying your car broke down. The first thing you'll say, "What you do to my car?" But whatever happened, what would happen with you, no matter what, that was nothing internal. That was just on the break. So I have to look at it that way. Stop blaming it, and I have to look at what am I causing this issue? Was I causing this problems? So for me, I only check in when not once a day, not once a week. When I just feel up, I just don't feel normal.
Oh, okay. All right.
For me, as being someone that deals with depression and anxiety and all those things, they said it's just a daily journey for me. Like, I never know how I'm going to feel when I wake up. So it's always a daily struggle, I want to say. So I just take it day by day. And usually in the morning when I wake up, some days I wake up and I'm excited about life, and some days I wake up and I'm not. That's just how it is. So
I don't know if it's a check-in, but every morning my drive to work, I call it me time. I don't want the phone ringing. I don't want to talk to nobody. It's just me time driving. When me and Kendrick first got together, it was like the drive to work, we were on the phone all day long. I work all day, and on the way home, we were on the phone. So there was never any me time. So over the last several years, I just don't call me unless it's an emergency. But driving in, I get myself prepared, and then I think about what has happened, you know, the days before. So that's just me time for me. I don't know if it's checking in, but that's my time.
I think I would have to agree with Marcus. I'm not sure that I haven't checked in on myself, but maybe when I feel overwhelmed, you know, I do kind of talk to myself and try to figure out how to get beyond whatever it is I'm dealing with. But I don't think it's something that I do to be consistent.
And then pass it back to me because I want to comment after that, after he goes.
I probably check in on myself daily. Mostly concerning my job, because it's like any little thing. I feel that, you know, when you're in the profession that I'm in, and you are a producer and you're selling this product, that you should know just as much about the product as I do. So when little stupid things happen or stupid questions come, it irritates me because I'm like, I don't have time to answer this question for you because you should know this. So I check on myself several times a day because of that, you know. And I do ask myself, why is this making me mad? But I know why, but it shouldn't. You know, but yeah.
So there was a purpose in me asking that question. So I asked that question because I feel like it goes back to what Shamika said earlier, where we're on autopilot a lot. And we're not checking in. And I heard most of you say you're not checking in on yourself until the check engine light comes on. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
And so how does that affect our mental health if we're only checking in on ourselves when the check engine light comes on? That means we're only checking in on ourselves when trouble is coming. And so if you're checking in on yourself more often, then you're more equipped to handle when things get overwhelming. Instead of waiting until things get to the overwhelming part, if you check in on yourself, and I'm going to have my cousin piggyback on this, when you check in on yourself more often, then you're more aware. That creates more self-awareness for you. And if you have more self-awareness, then you can more readily recognize where that's coming from. Then you're not confused about it. It's not causing anxiety, as much anxiety and anger and blame and all of these other things. So if you have a regimen of checking in on yourself, that's going to help you with your mental health. In my opinion, that's what I do. That's what kind of helps me. I recognize those things that make me really, really angry, and I recognize those things that make me really, really happy, and all the things in between. But that comes with the pause. And we're not taking enough pause, is what was the point of me asking that question. So what would you say to that, Shamika?
So I think I shared, I do this interview work, right? And so what has helped me, because we are, so you guys ever walk into a room when it's a whole bunch of people and they're like, or no, not even a whole bunch of people, when you walk, like if you have a friend and they're always like down and feeling down, when you come around them, how do you tend to feel?
Down.
Down, right? You have a hype friend. How you feel when you go around and hype friend? You like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We're all receivers of energy, right? So sometimes we come around people that we don't know they're dealing with mental health stuff, right? And emotional stuff, and they're putting on the mask, but we're like, dang, why I feel down? And we don't know they're feeling down. So sometimes we're picking up on their stuff. So a tool I have used before is return to sender, right? And so return to sender will, with consciousness attached, and consciousness is just being aware, for them to be aware of what they're, for them to be, so what you're saying is like, I'm returning this back to them and giving them the awareness to be able to know why they're in that space, right? And so typically, I don't know if this is losing some people, but it's like this is just the things I've done because we are receivers of energy. Why, pay attention when you're around certain people and how you were when you're doing that check-in, like, okay, what just happened? What just shifted? What just changed? Because it might not even be yours. It might be somebody else's. And we're just picking up on it because sometimes we just don't know, And so once I do that, return to sender, and then it lightens up, sometimes it just goes away. When it's mine, I still feel I'm like, okay, now I'm like, okay, checking with myself, what's going on? Okay, what was there? Was there a trigger just now? Did something just occur that made me upset? And then why did that make me upset? So now I'm checking with myself to make sure, like, okay, was it me or was it them? Do I need to address something with them? Or do I just need to be quiet and sit back and just work on it later, And so checking in.
I was going to ask you, when you say return to sender, and you give it back to them, is it something you say to them the next
No, you can say it in your head.
Okay.
Sit in your head. Yeah, because
It's an effective tool she taught me.
Right.
Yeah, because I need to.
Yeah.
No, seriously. And so, because being a therapist, you don't, like, they don't really teach you. Well, they do, but it's like brief. Because they tell you that you need to get your own therapist. But they don't tell you, like, when you sit in a room with people with bipolar, depression, anxiety, that you can take on all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like I'm sitting in there, and I've never had anxiety. I've never had, and I'm like all over the place. And I had to stop. I had to take a break from therapy for like 5 years. Because I was like, what is going on? I was like, okay. And so I learned some extra tools, that playing, the train, I learned some extra tools. And now as a therapist, now I'm able to, pay attention and be aware of, okay, is this mine or is this something else going on in the room? And so you sit in the room, you're like, okay, something just shifted. You can perceive when something just shifted, you're like, okay, like when you say something to somebody, like, you're like, okay, I just said something that affected them.
Yeah.
Right? You can perceive, you can perceive all of that. And so now I'm like, okay, wait a minute, what just happened? Now I'm more aware, but that's being present in the moment.
Yes.
Too. That's requiring me to be more present in the moment. And again, constantly checking in, being like, how am I feeling around this situation? Okay, and so it's a constant checking in.
Is it unheard of for me to not feel like, or to feel like I don't let people's energy come on me? Because I know that God gave me a gift of encouragement, and that's what I do. I'm an encourager, just naturally. I mean, people are drawn to me, and I don't feel like if I go into a situation where somebody is down, like even with my wife saying what she deals with, I don't let it pull me down. I just constantly try to be of an encouragement to her. Am I off base?
Why? Okay, so question: why are you feeling wrong for that?
No, I'm just asking. I don't feel wrong. I just,
Okay,
I'm wondering. I heard you say, a lot of times when you go into a room, people may.
But you can see. It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that you go in the room and you can see when somebody's hurting.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't mean that you take it on as your own, and that's okay. That's okay.
All right.
But you're like, okay, I know that this is going on. So what can I do? And so then you want to do. But then like, okay, what energy can I be right now? You can just be like, you can just be you and just be in that space.
Like you said, just smile.
Just be you, yes.
Yeah.
And you don't have to do anything but just be you in that space with that person.
She want to jump on me. I hear it right there.
I was going to actually give you a compliment because he's the type of person that when he walks in the room, if you are that type of person that's there, you going to automatically change. And that's one of the things that's unique to him. I felt like every time I left this person, I felt better than before I came in.
That's awesome.
Every time. He always made me feel better.
But look at you, like she gonna jump on me, and she look at you had it. You assumed that she was, and she didn't, and she was like.
That's because you here.
It doesn't matter. But here's the thing. But
See?
That though. But let's talk about this yesterday and what you speak.
You right.
Right, and what you speak, because yesterday he said, I'm old and I'll be forgetting. I said, stop speaking that. So watch what you speak. So even when you speak about other people, like assuming that she was going to, even if she did it yesterday, even if she did it 10 times yesterday, She might not do it on that 11th time. Right?
Yeah.
So even just giving her the space to be able to, like, instead of saying this is what she's gonna do, like giving her the space to be like, okay, what is she gonna say right
It's
now?
called being present in the moment.
Using them tools. Corey over there using them tools.
Be present, brother. So,
Mark.
I'm behind. You can't get to it. So anyway, so check this out. A couple things came to my head. The return to sender. You know, back when you was a little kid.
I made a rubber, you made
The
a glue.
glue, So that tool been around for some years.
Right. And think about it, as kids, think about that though. As kids, how that's like.
We didn't even know what we was saying.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
whatever comes at you. And you skip all the way, and then you know, because it was like you was like, I blocked your shield of. I blocked you from your negative.
Yeah.
whatever you
She
said
gonna cry the
to
kid.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking about Wonder Woman, because you know Wonder Woman.
Now there's sticks and stones, so that ain't right.
No, that's
Yeah.
the
Words-
words.
Words will stick
Yeah.
your stones, but words will break your bones.
Yeah.
Bones heal, but words.
Yep.
So something that
Power
just
of the tongue.
kicked up for me, you know, I'm in a relationship with someone who's constantly healing. So everything she does, her priority in life is healing, and she's very a strong advocate of mental well-being, her own above more than anything else. And we talk about check-ins and like check it yourself and do that and this and all the things that people do to maintain their mental health. They don't do much of none of that a lot of times in life. And sometimes I want to sit here like, and I'm like, am I fucked up? Am I crazy? Because I don't do none of this, and I'm like, do I need to be doing this? And how do we stop from saying like what am I doing wrong? Am I really just fucked up? Not so fucked up I don't know about it, and I don't see it. And like if you talked about the word trauma, like what trauma? You know, I had a good childhood. Only time I got my ass beat when I was bad, you know, and I didn't do it no more. And so now, how do you determine if or should I get help, or do I just need to tune up, or do I just feel like you just okay? Just go ahead and just keep yourself straight. You know, change your oil and keep it pushing. So how do you? It's like really hard to determine whether I need something or don't need something, or just need to just kind of maintain.
You know what's interesting? So some of the trauma. Okay, what's interesting is there's like these hidden things that do show up that we don't pay attention to, and so
Yep.
So I'll give you an example. One day at the yacht club, right? There was two people, and so they were two black people in the yacht club. Okay, I'm in the yacht club.
Yeah, I can hold my microphone with
I don't have a
pinky out.
yacht, but I get to experience other people's yachts with them. But and so it was two black people, and they often heard like a lot of they often seen a lot of white people up there, or you know when you think of yacht club, like it's only white people, and they're not from here, they're from the South, and so the guys are talking to me and my friend, but the lady, she kind of hid, and she was like so she couldn't be seen. And but they ended up coming up, but it was the response, like, that's not for us. That's not for us. And she kind of hid in the cut. And I was like, wow, how traumatized are we? Even walking down the street, and I forgot where I heard this too. We're walking down the street, and it's a white person coming towards us. We get out the way, and they keep going. We were sitting at the beach. We was having an
talk about that all the
African
time.
ceremony. And we're in a circle. You can see the circle. You can see we're sitting there. The altar was right there. We're sitting there, and this lady walks in between the circle with her dog. The privilege that was there. And so we're so used to that being okay because this is what we've been trained. It's so entrained in us. Certain things are so entrained in us. We don't speak up. We were
Yep.
like, well, I thought I was supposed to do that. We were just talking about your friend yesterday and her
Yeah.
job expecting this, and she said, my kid, she know the law, and so she was like, that's not legal. So we don't want to say nothing. We like, you come to the ground, because we won't say nothing. We don't want to shake up nothing,
Yeah.
right? But if somebody that didn't have our experiences, if there was a problem, they'd speak up. They'd be like, nah, I'm gonna call them. They know who to call.
Yeah.
They know where to call. But we've been taught and trained. We don't look them in the eye. We don't say nothing. We don't.
And that's trauma.
It might not look
Yes.
like it, you know. And so, how often are you bowing down when somebody's treating you badly and you don't speak up and say anything and advocate for yourself? There are times to advocate and there are times to be quiet and go and maybe go higher up, but if we don't say no, that's not okay. I'm going to, and that's that check-in. Okay, how do I feel about this?
Yeah.
How do I feel about this? Microaggressions.
Yes.
Oh, you're so pretty for a black girl.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even on the job.
I've had colored friends.
Right. Or like what I told you happened to me at my job,
Yes.
where the lady asked me, not even the cornbread. It was, do you think they're scared of you? You know, it's those microaggressions.
And it makes you feel, and then so you're feeling like that's when you're like, whoa, how does that make me feel?
Mhm.
Like, and then you walk out feeling, so those are trauma responses.
Yeah.
Those are trauma responses. You don't have
And
to
it's
be
not tied to
scared.
childhood.
Court.
What did you say, Kia?
It's not always just tied to childhood. It's experiences. Trauma comes from, yeah.
Generations of trauma.
Yeah.
Over and over. and over.
But I was going to say when Marcus was talking about asking himself, well, should I seek out help? And I have a friend that's a therapist, and one thing she told me that I never really thought about, she was like, you don't always have to go to a therapist when you're in trouble.
Yep.
It's just like with a car. You maintain it. There don't have to be nothing wrong with the car. You take it in for maintenance.
True that.
Yeah.
You just go to a therapist. You don't have to have some issues. I just want to talk and talk
I need
about
some other ideas because it's outside of your circle. Because our friends and stuff, we like typically we all have the same points of view and ideas. And a therapist, when you go to a therapist, they give you something extra new.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
I appreciate that. Now I'm gonna try that.
Yeah, we have to get out of the mindset of seek therapy when something's wrong.
When we
And
Right.
you got a $0 copay, so you need to.
Yeah. Because it relates to what I said earlier about why do we wait until the check engine light comes on?
when we were driving here, we were listening to I think it's Praise on XM or Pandora One, and it was a daughter and her mother, and they were talking about marriages, and the mother had been married over 30 years, the daughter had been married 6 years, and the mother said that she definitely recommends before people get married they do premarital counseling, and she went on to say, I think you need to do premarital counseling, postmarital counseling, in the middle of the marriage counseling.
Yeah.
She said you need to just every so often go check
Even
in.
individual, because even I like that, and even because here's the thing too. The thing is that we go into, and then we go into this idea again. These ideas that we're told that how a marriage
how
is
it
supposed
is.
to be, and this is what you're supposed to do, and this is your job when we get married. And so you get to the marriage, you're not doing the job that you were supposed to do. What job was I supposed to do? I'm supposed to do a job, right? And so, what if it's the conversation we have, like, what do we want to? How are we gonna do our marriage?
Yes.
How
Yes.
are we gonna work this out, right?
So many things we need to unlearn.
Exactly. And that's why I found it interesting, like people that live together. Like they live together for 10 years, they get married, and they get divorced after the 1 year. And I was like, what changed? What was the difference? Because you guys are friends when y'all was living together. And the difference is the idea after a marriage, they had this whole perception of what a marriage was supposed to look like. Right? And so it messed up the whole relationship because now you're looking at, oh, when you're married though, it's supposed to be different. It's when you're supposed to, it's just your job. Right? But what if it's, let's work on what we gonna do, how we gonna work it out. How we gonna work this out, how we gonna move forward and strengthen and build our relationship, you know? The way we are, because relationships aren't cookie cutter.
Right.
Because everybody got their own concepts, their own ideas, it's a lot of different things. So relationships aren't cookie cutter, so it's really important to sit down and say, okay, how are we doing this?
Yeah.
Even in dating, shoot, how are we doing this?
Exactly.
What do you expect from me? What would you like from me?
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Okay.
And there.
So now we talk about therapy and everything. So staying on that tip, marriage counseling is effective. It's very effective, correct? Everybody agree marriage counseling is very effective?
No.
Can
No?
be.
Can be.
Can be, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But I think you like
Hold on.
Shai just said. I think that it really boils down to the two people defining what it means to them and coming to whatever their
Yes.
the agreement is together.
Mhm.
And the counselor may be a person that's stuck in tradition and tell you that
If they're a good counselor,
this.
well, if they're a good therapist, then they not gonna take on their own points
Right.
of views and ideas.
They
They
shouldn't,
come
yeah,
to you
right.
guys.
Right.
And
They
then,
would do what we just talked about. They say, "Hey guys, what do you want?"
right. And even think about the thing too is that we don't even, sometimes we don't even have a concept of what a good healthy relationship looks like because we've seen so many horrible relationships in our families and our people around us. Like, defining what that is for you guys and what, yeah. So,
Yeah, two things. So when he was talking about the conversation between the mother and daughter that we were listening to, one thing the mother said to her daughter is, stop letting society, even family, define for you.
yeah.
Yes.
It's like when you should get married,
Mhm.
when you should get married, when you should have kids. Stop.
Because they-
Oh.
When you have some kids,
Yeah.
not we just got
That's
married,
big,
now we
Corey.
get
That's big.
Yeah, I thought that was really good. She was like, even if you've been divorced and going to get married again, stop letting people put boundaries on you and things like that. She was like, whenever, just focus on when it's right for you.
Exactly.
Period. No matter what
Yes.
society says. So that made me think of that. But my question was going to be about choosing a therapist. When you talked about is it a good therapist? How do you choose a therapist?
It's like a relation. I tell my clients, whenever I do my initial, like this is confidential, but I do my initial spiel, and then I say now, finding a good therapist is like finding a good relationship. If you guys are not on the same page, it is okay to say this is not working. I want to choose somebody else and see if that works. Because my thing is like you have to speak up for yourself. You have to advocate for yourself. You come in, you spending your time and your money to come in and speak to somebody. If it's like if they not helping, you wasting your money, you wasted your time and everything.
Mhm.
And people come to therapy because they want to do something different. And
Yeah.
so if that therapist is not meeting, that they're not on the same page, not on the same page together, and they're not helping, then it's okay to say, you know what, let me try somebody else.
Yeah.
Because we have a friend like that. She was with a therapist, and she got mad. The therapist got mad at her, and she was scared to tell her like, I want to go with somebody else. And when she told the therapist that, the therapist got mad at her. And so she felt like, well, maybe I should leave this person.
Or if you remember, she got mad at her because she didn't come to a therapy session.
Yeah.
She went to something else that she thought was going to be helpful to her. And when she told the therapist got mad at
Now,
her.
did she 24 hours in advance cancel the appointment?
I think she went through the process, and I'm like, well, you don't get mad. And
Yeah.
That's not your person. That's not
Right,
your therapist.
exactly. Yeah, and it's okay.
And that's okay.
Yeah, and if they're making you feel bad, then it's a whole nother thing. Because then it's an ethical issue. Because now you're
That's what I
making me
said.
feel bad for
Now,
choosing.
you might need to write in on her case. That's what
Yeah.
she's doing.
Yeah, yeah, that becomes an ethical issue. You're like, no, you stay with me.
So I want to piggyback on what Corey said, the first point that she made, which was defining your own relationship. I think that's so important, and we miss that a lot. We get so caught up in other people's opinions and thoughts and judgments that it doesn't allow us to move forward. And a couple of weeks ago, Marcus and I shared our 1 year anniversary. I posted a video. I did a video on it. And oftentimes when I do live videos, I'm often in that moment, like, God is like, I need you to speak on this right now, right? And so I was just leaving the gym. I was looking a hot mess, but this message was on me. And so I spoke about the message of being obedient and how our relationship wouldn't have happened if I wasn't obedient. Because had I listened to what other people thought it should look like in terms of timing, in terms of you're not ready, your fiance just died 5 months ago, you shouldn't be starting anything new. It's not anybody else's business that we communicated things. He knew when he met me what happened. He had already heard what happened to me. And so he was like, I'm already aware of that. So we can go at the pace that's comfortable for you. But my point is, we don't owe an explanation to other people about how we went about it. What's important is we were very communicative with each other. We discussed a lot about that. And he was very open and respectful to that. And yes, I was in a healing space, and I'll always be in a healing space. But he's on that journey with me. And so I think it's important for people to understand that it's okay for you to have your own path. It's okay for you to make the decisions that's healthy and best for you, and not to allow anybody else to their opinions and judgments of your relationship to affect what you do. Because a lot of times, and I'm just being honest here, people who do that are not happy with themselves and their relationships. And so they will try to transfer that on you. And if you allow that, you'll be in the same space they're in. And so I don't really care about what people think, what their thoughts are, what their judgments are. And when I say that, I mean that wholeheartedly. I don't care. I don't care.
Even with that, Kia, even when we look at relationships like people have parents that have been together 40, 35, 45 years. And even with that, you still cannot, even though that's a good thing, the things that work for them to stay 35, 45 years might not work in their relationship. The things that they tolerated that allow them to, last that long, you find yourself trying to tolerate because you're like, oh, well, my parents are still together, and, it was because they, my mom accepted this. But that you might be trying to do that, and it's tearing you up because that's really not you and what you want to do. You might not be wanting to accept that your husband has stepped out and you still don't stay. You might not want to accept that, but you try to do that because you see that it worked for your mom. And she probably was all kinds of unhappy, even though they're together. And you're trying to emulate that because you want to say that I've been married 45 years, but you're unhappy. So we have to just really get away from all of that. Take, just like he always says, eat the fish, throw away the bones.
Yep.
We have to do that.
And even with that too, because I don't know if I'm losing anybody, but sometimes, okay, let's go back, because I remember, I was listening to, no pain, no pain, no gain.
Yeah.
And Betty White, and she said,
not Betty White.
she said Betty White.
Oh.
Betty White. Right. And she said, having a piece of man is better than having no man at all. So think about, that's how we were taught.
Yeah.
That's how we were taught, right? But so the difference is, okay, so it's one difference when you see, like, this is their pattern. Like, this guy this is what he's doing. This is his pattern, and he's on to next, and you whatever. And you're accepting that. But it's one thing when that does occur, and then the goal and the plan is to work on the relationship, because again, when we talk about mental health stuff, that whole stepping out sometimes is also a cry for help. It's also, I'm trying to run away from something that I'm scared of. And so then it's like, okay, so let's talk about this. Let's have a conversation. What do you want to do? Are we working on this relationship, or do you want to continue this pattern, right? And so when that person says, no, I want to work on this relationship, and then they work towards it, so then now we're healing. Now we're in the space of healing. And we're in the space of dealing with the betrayal, dealing with the, whatever he was feeling or she was feeling when they stepped out. And we're working towards this growth because we want to have a healthy dynamic. Yes, this happened, but this is where we're going, and this is what we're doing moving forward. So we're not gonna keep on bringing this back up because we're doing this here, and how we can change that and create something healthy.
Yes.
And so it's important to know the difference. It's important to know the difference.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And so that's important. So, no pain. That's something I hear. That's a lie too. No pain, no gain. You don't have to have no relationship that have pain. Just
Yeah.
No, that's a lie. That's
Yeah.
a lie.
So let's
It
talk
is.
about it.
That's
So-
a lie.
so-
Those are lies that we keep hearing and keep being like, yeah, we gotta have pain for it to be good. That's not always true.
Yeah.
That's not always true.
So let's talk about something like that, because one of the pains we have is arguments.
Is that a pain though?
I'm asking, to me, hell.
Is it a pain?
Shit, what she can cut with them words, shit. Believe me, her.
What's the difference between an argument and a disagreement?
So she asked, what's the difference between an argument and disagreement?
They're both the same. Well, you disagree. An argument, like you're disagreeing, right? You're disagreeing.
But it's
She's
okay
right,
to disagree.
right? You gotta
Yeah.
disagree.
It's okay.
Don't be disagreeable.
So how do you have a healthy? How you?
Because I feel like arguments aren't healthy because
You're
you
not
are
coming to resolve.
you're
Yeah.
resolved.
Uh-huh.
You're not listening. You're only listening to respond.
But I think
You're not
disagreements happen
you're
that
having
too.
a conversation. You know.
But different disagreements could be like we're differing in this area, this opinion, and we're not hearing each other because we're differing. So that
But that's when you're
Well,
being
see-
disagreeable.
well, you see,
when you don't want to hear
it's
what
like
the other
this.
person is saying.
It's like this. You hear, like if I'm having a disagreement with somebody, I may not agree with what you're saying, but I hear what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. I just don't agree with it. But when I'm
That's fine.
arguing, I don't want to hear nothing
then
you
you
have
say,
to say.
okay,
Yeah.
there it is. Yep. But then there's the difference then. Yeah.
So-
And so when it comes to that, when it comes to that, because like we talked about, did I say reflective listening here?
Say what?
Reflective listening.
Oh, I can say something.
So
No, you didn't.
You talked about
I should
that
have last night. Okay.
yeah.
So reflective listening is important. I'm working on this still too. So but I know it works because when I do use it, I notice that the conversation is different. So reflective listening is when you're like, okay, so give me something.
So-
Today when I was walking down the street, I saw the most beautiful trees.
So
Today you saw them-
I'm repeating what he said to you.
Yeah, so you saw some beautiful trees today? Awesome. Wow, how'd they look? What made them beautiful?
They were colorful.
They were colorful. I love that. So see how easily I did that? Like you didn't know I was repeating it. You were just like, it was like you were being heard. You heard me hearing you.
Yes.
Right. So in a disagreement, you can say, so give me something that's a disagreement.
You backed the car out into the garage.
Like,
You backed the car out into the garage, didn't
you asked me, did I back the car into the garage?
you? Yes.
Did I reverse into the garage or did I back out of the garage? I'm asking you what you're saying.
Right. But I'm telling you, I saw the scratch on the car.
Oh, you saw a scratch on the car.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you were wondering if I put the scratch on the car?
Yes.
Okay. I might have.
I'm sure you did, because I did.
Oh, then I might have. You know what? I might have.
Hold on.
Now what?
So when you put a scratch in the car, why you say something?
You know what? I didn't know until you. Hold on. You're wondering why I didn't say anything?
Yes.
So at the time, I didn't even know until you just said something.
Because like, how you do it every day? You back in the garage, you wasn't paying attention. Were you on the phone or something?
So you feel like you think I was on the phone when I backed up the car?
You had to be. You got a scratch on the car.
You know what? I might have not been paying attention. I might have been paying attention.
All right. I guess we'll get it fixed then. All right. Don't worry about it. We'll take care of it.
Right. So okay. So now let's do it without the reflective listening. Go ahead.
You bet the car in the garage.
What you mean why I back the car in the garage?
You just got a scratch in the car.
I don't care how you gonna tell me it's a scratch in the car and you
I ain't
did it.
I ain't-
You did it because you don't even know how to drive.
Well, I don't never drive your car.
Remember last week when you
What
was
about last
driving in, right? And then the year before that you did the scratch on that car.
Why you talking about that?
Year before
But we got
that.
Way back. Hold on, stop. We ain't paying for that damn car. We already put a
But
scratch
it
on
drive
it.
better.
But you want to fuss at me when I
So drive
drive?
better.
But I ain't
I
gonna
know
scratch the
you
car.
like
Okay, whatever.
Did you not do it today?
You know what?
didn't do
You
it today.
did it harder. Shit.
Heard me and Corey
So
talk.
I ain't putting no
But even in that, in the difference is that you give a pause. When you reflective listening, when you respond back to what they said, you give a pause to not just like what you say earlier, respond. Like I just want to respond instead of okay. But you know what I have to do? I have to be like okay, Shani, because I can feel myself when I get mad. I feel it. I'll be like,
Yeah.
Hold on, what you say? My whole body language changed, and then I'll be like, and then I have to check in with myself like, okay, wait, okay, Shani, listen, yeah, okay, and then I relax and I'll be like, wait, okay, say that again because I wasn't paying attention. Because see, I was talking in my head, telling myself to shut up and relax and be quiet, right?
Yeah.
I was telling myself like, be quiet, relax, listen to what he's saying. Okay, so you're saying, A, B, C, and D. Okay. Then it helps me hear what you just said and then confirm that that's what you just said. So again, it's this pause. I'm not defending. So now I'm like, okay, did I indeed do that? I might have indeed did that. I might have called you out your name last week, and so I'm going to apologize for calling you out your name. I did call you stupid. So my bad, right? And so just taking responsibility because again, because I keep thinking I'm talking to y'all from last night. But the goal in a discussion in a marriage is to resolve the issue, and strengthen the relationship. If your goal is that,
Yeah.
it will never be I'm right and you're wrong.
Yes.
It's irrelevant who's right, who's wrong, because both of y'all, the relationship is wrong. The relationship gonna be bad, so nobody's gonna win. Nobody's gonna be right. You might be right and win the argument, but then what did you win in the relationship?
Yeah.
And so
That's good.
It's about I want to resolve this because I want the most healthiest, the most vulnerable relationship I can feel I can be in and be safe with you.
Yeah.
And I want you to feel safe with me. So I would like to resolve this because I want to be safe with you. And I want this relationship to work. And so both people have to want that together because then we're working on this together.
Oh, that's so good.
All right.
Babe, you see what time it is?
Yes, so go ahead. So
this-
I do see what time it is, babe. What would you like us to do with the time at the end? Reflective.
You using your tools, baby.
Call me later. I'll show you what to let my.
Okay, y'all. So we're gonna wrap it up. This portion anyway. We're gonna still have a good time for those that wanna say, I wanna beat somebody in the pool. So I want to thank each and every one of you all for attending. I want to thank those that watch virtually. I want to give a very, very special shout out to each one of you all individually and as couples. Keldrick, my brother, we appreciate you. We thank you. You always show up, always support, always checking in with your brother here. It's really fantastic for us to have married couples to hang out with and see and hear about you all's journey. That's amazing for us. That helps us. Cassandra, it's not enough words. You constantly, consistently show up, support, show love, do whatever you can. We wouldn't have these notebooks, these pens, the amazing cookies. We not sharing. Because she just is so thoughtful. She's so thoughtful, and there's just not enough words to thank her for all of the thought that you put into something that we're trying to build for people. We are not in this to make a whole lot of money. We're not in this to try to use or manipulate people. We really, honestly, this started off of conversations that we would have and say, we want to see other people have healthy, loving, positive, healing relationships. That's how it got started. That was it. And it came from a place of we both had relationships where there was hurt and there were issues, and we learned from them. and we wanted to continue to learn, and we wanted to involve other people through that journey. Rodney and Corey, oh my goodness. So when we met you all, we were at such a beautiful space in our relationship. And so Rodney, being Rodney, had he not said anything, we would have never met. Because we were sitting on opposite ends in a room. And so thank you for just taking the step, for it, trusting what you felt about us and saying something. And we can't thank you enough. You know, you have been pivotal in terms of Marcus embracing people, because Marcus was not really a person that had a lot of friends around him. He was, you know, I'm not saying like that, babe, but
Nobody liked him. Nobody picked him in the basketball
but he
team.
just didn't really deal with a lot of people. It was a choice he made. He just didn't really deal with a lot of people, you know. And then Corey, me and her have this relationship where I'm like, you gonna let us love on you. Period. You just gonna take it. Like, you don't have a choice. Like, it ain't like we gonna be like, we don't love you. No, you gonna get all this love, right? But I appreciate this bond that we've been able to build over time. And I cannot thank my cousin enough for flying in from Cali. Literally, Marcus and I were on the balcony, and I remember the day we made the decision to do this specific event. We were on the balcony talking, and we called her after we had the conversation. And I was like, I bet my cousin gonna say yeah. She gonna say yeah, she gonna come, she gonna do this. Not from the space of her being my cousin, from her, because I have other close friends and relatives that are therapists. But I know the difference, the tools and the resources that she has. I know the difference it makes. That's the person I call in between. If I can't get my therapist, I'm calling her. And she might not resonate with everybody, but again, whatever tool she gave you, just take it. Eat it. Whatever doesn't apply, I'm not even gonna say release it. It may come up later, and you may be able to pick that up. And so, thank you all so much. Like, I'm trying not to get emotional. Thank y'all so much for supporting us and for seeing what we're trying to do and constantly, consistently showing up. We can't do this without you all. If y'all didn't come, it'd just be us sitting here looking at each other, talking, right? I always have believed, though, all it takes is one person to hear what you're saying, and you can make a difference. All right, babe.
All right, so let's go ahead and wrap this up real quick. I guess I need to say a couple of words. I'm not a man of very few words. So, cuz, shy. So, this weekend was my first time meeting you. You all right in my book. You know, you accept my.
It's our first time. I'm like, oh no, you've been around for a while.
I'm being spoken to you though.
I
No, but
this is the
you know,
energy,
between the cookies and the different things like that. So I appreciate you. This whole weekend, everybody was impressed with you. Not as much, but I am the truly most impressed with you. You know, if you wasn't my cuz, you'd be my friend. So everybody else, you know how we are. I am about y'all. I'm not gonna get into that. And for this going on right here. Sometimes we.
I thought you liked it.
No,
Your eyes sweating.
I don't tear up. My mom too upset. I don't need to tear up at this moment. All right, so
Check
I
in
did-
with yourself, Marcus.
yeah, I am actually that's my plans. When I get back with travel, that's my plan. Right now it's only a few of us, and that's fine. It's right now. It's not about the how many, but how about the message. So from now on, it's not the many, but the message. And that's what we're gonna take.
Yeah.
Take the message, because I guarantee there was some message today that's gonna be shared in somebody's conversation. You know, and we'll get the snowball rolling.
Yep.
One to help another. So appreciate it, because the tidbits and tools, the nuggets, the gems, whatever you want to call it. Thank you, and rock on. So everybody be good. Say thank you, Shy.
Thank you, Shy.
Guys, thank you guys.
All right. Good night.
And thanks to my baby.
Thanks to your baby. That's me. My bad. Good night, everybody.